Hello and welcome back to the Puncher's Chance podcast. In today's episode, if you're watching the video version, you can tell I'm not joined here today by Harry and Ben as usual, but I've replaced them with someone who maybe has a slight bit more experience over them. It is, in my opinion, one of the very best. It's Amazon Prime, DAZN, TalkSPORT's Ade Oladipo. Ade, thank you so much for joining me here today. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm well. Everything's in a good place right now. TalkSport's in a good place. DAZN's in a great place. Boxing and football are both bubbling up nicely. And I'm looking forward to the next, which I think will be the next crazy 6 months. Like the schedule now is just insane. So to be a part of it is just fantastic. So I'm in a great space.
Yeah, and I didn't mention actually your own podcast as well.
Yeah.
A part of it, which by the way, you're taking live. Congrats on that. That's like the big thing, isn't it? It's like the British boxers equivalent of getting a world title fight in the States, live show.
Yeah.
September 4th,
Yeah.
King's Place, part of the London Podcast Festival. That's got to be exciting, right?
It is. You know, I didn't want to do it. I have to be honest with you. I was nervous. I'm like, why does anyone want to come buy a ticket to hear me talk about boxing? So I didn't want to do it. And I've partnered up with a guy called Andrew Spence, who's been pushing me to do this. I'm like, no, I ain't doing this. Like, what? But the ticket sales are going really well. People want to, I guess, hear me talk about boxing. I think, you know what it is? I don't even think they want to talk. I think people just want to hear me talk. I think people relate to the journey. I'm very open and honest about struggles. I don't shy away from sort of mental health and depression topics that people like to kind of maybe sort of put under the carpet. I'm happy to have those conversations because those are things that I still go through. So I think people can relate to that. So I think there's a relatability thing there. So yeah, I'm still very nervous, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's the beauty, I think, of like what you do and what you do. People can care about what you talk about, care about what you say, but actually they still care about you as well. And if they don't care about you, they're probably not going to tune in. Like you kind of have to have that both part of it, don't you?
Yeah, and I think because I've been open from the get-go, and I think I've been open even whilst on a really strong trajectory. So I'm trying to show people that even though I'm kind of doing this, I'm still having those weird thoughts sometimes. So it's not like I'm doing this and it's all gone away and here we are and everything's nice and rosy. I think I'm showing people that I'm here, but I'm still kind of having those wobbles. And again, I think people relate to it. So yeah, I think it's been like a warts and all thing with me. Like you get everything. You're not just going to get the good stuff. You're going to get the bad stuff, the good stuff, everything. And I think people like that. I think that's what it is. I think people like it and accept it. And I think that's why I think people are happy for me on this journey. You know, I think sometimes you get people that are like, oh, why is he doing that? But I think people, when they see me, I get really nice messages. Oh my God, that's Ade who 7 years ago was struggling and, you know, talking about having no money in the bank. And so I think people kind of like the aspect of me. I think.
Yeah, and I want to get into all of that stuff. We'll talk boxing at the end because I can't come all this way not to talk boxing with you. But it's been a mad journey, right? From, you know, born in Nigeria, moving over to the UK, all of that stuff. Like talk me through in as best you can, the journey of Ade.
It's been it's been a whirlwind, I think. I think we all have crazy journeys. Maybe some people choose not to tell theirs. But yeah, so I was born in Nigeria. I came here when I was 18 months, but went to foster care in Brighton with a white family until I was 9, and then came back to London under duress. I didn't know what I was doing. It's funny actually. The story is, so my mum used to come and see us every, I'm going to just guess here now and say once every 5 or 6 months. I didn't know she was my mum because I was with this family and I assumed they were my mum and dad. But this larger than life woman used to come and take me and my sister to the beach. So I used to look forward to seeing this woman. Like, oh my God, yes, she's here. We're going to the beach and we're going to eat fish and chips, ice cream, whatever. And then I remember when we were going, I do remember that we were leaving, but I can't remember it vividly. All I remember is we were in a car and we're driving to the beach and we go past the beach. I remember looking at my big sister thinking, we've gone past the beach, like, where are we going?
Kidnapped.
Yeah, like, what's going on? And then I realized we're going home. And then it was quite a hard transition from like a white family to a very strict, very, very strict African parent. But my upbringing, although different, I wouldn't swap it for the world. I think I had the best of both worlds. I had an incredible upbringing with that family in Brighton who I speak to often. And my mum, although she struggled because my dad wasn't around much, I think she gave us the best upbringing she could as well. So, yeah, I was with my mum until I was 17, then I got kicked out the house. So I didn't take college seriously. I messed up my A-levels. And she was like, get out. I was like, get out and go where? I didn't know where. So I was homeless for a while. I lived with a friend of mine called Michael in a homeless hostel in Focus, E15 in Stratford, so not too far away from where we're filming here. They found out I was staying with him, and then they kicked me out because you're not supposed to stay with. But what they did, which was good, is that they gave me the ability to apply for the hostel itself. So I applied and got put in that hostel. So I was in that hostel for a few years.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was quite an interesting few years.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I was listening to your, I think it was your car diaries, just this morning on the train, and you were talking about it, and there's so many brilliant stories there. I'm sure stuff we can't, we don't have the time to get into today, but you almost laughed quite a lot about the obscenity of your own story. Does it feel like a different time, or is there very much, like you found it almost funny how obscene the things you did that were obviously normal at the time?
That's what it is. You just hit the nail on the head. Because I was going through it with so many friends back then, all of us were in a hostel together. So it almost felt normal. It didn't feel like, now I laughed because looking back, that's not normal. Like being kicked out at that age and being, to an extent, street homeless and then living in a hostel sounds crazy now, but back then it was almost weirdly fun. Like I felt freedom. I was like, oh, okay, cool. F it. I'm going to go and stay with my friend Michael. We can do whatever we want. And it's fine. And this is normal. And I'm going to go downstairs because the hostel was like a big block of flats. So it had 144 rooms in it. And it was half split between guys and girls between the ages of 18 and 24. So it felt like the best party ever. But in a sense, it was dangerous. People were getting robbed. People were getting stabbed. There were guns. There were drugs. It was violent. But that's kind of all I knew for that period of my life. So I look back and think, that's wild. Like I would never let my kid or want my kid to grow up in that. But back then it was just normal. Honestly, it was normal. Friends going through violence was normal. Unfortunately, a few of my friends passed away through street violence. And at the time, although painful, again, it was just kind of normal. So I look back at it and I wouldn't want to live it again. But I think it's an experience that's hardened me to where I am now. So we've got through that. So any struggles, and this is funny actually, but anytime I'm nervous and I'm on stage, because sometimes I do like crap myself, like, okay, Ade, we're going live in 5, 4. I always think, dude, you've been through so much. This is easy. Just talk to the camera and go live. So it kind of has prepped me for where I am now.
That's amazing. And obviously, to get where you are now, there's had to have been a huge amount of ambition, a huge amount of drive to do everything you've done. Do you think that ambition was there at that time, even though you weren't necessarily displaying it? Or do you think that's something you learned and you kind of came to, if that makes sense?
I think it was always there. I always remember watching my friends and what we were doing. Look, we were getting up to no good. But I always remember thinking, shouldn't be doing this with them. Like I was always that person that would never go too far and do nonsense because I was like, what are we doing? Like I was always a bit smarter than a lot of them. So it was always there, but I just didn't know which way to kind of put that ambition and that energy into something. So I used to actually write, I had a laptop and I used to write like a daily vlog. And I wish I knew where that like drive was because it would be amazing to look at some of the stories I was writing at 19. But I remember I always used to write stuff about this happened today and that happened and how do I get out of this and how do I get out of that? So I was always ambitious, but I had no plan as to what to do with it. So, and I think that could be the story for so many people. That's why I kind of started my production company, Green Chair Productions, to help people that are kind of in my situation at 18, 19, but I can see I have all the ambition and all the skills, but I have nowhere to kind of put it. And that was me. I had everything I felt, but I just didn't know where to kind of aim at, if that makes any sense. So it was always there, just unguided.
Yeah, and then when it comes to kind of where you are now, one of the kind of breakthrough things, it seems, was that time you spent in Africa covering boxing. Yeah. And I found that whole bit hugely interesting.
That's even crazy.
Everyone who's listening to this, who knows me, is going to hate me the fact that I mentioned this. I lived in Nigeria for a year.
What?
So, yeah. I bring it up far too often.
Where in Nigeria did you live?
In Abuja. So,
really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
so
crazy.
I feel like I've got this small taste of Africa and African boxing and things like that. And it's a mad place, right? Mad things happen.
Crazy.
That job must have been so fun, but also, you know, such a great learning experience.
Dude, that job, Kwesi, so a bit of background on it. So me and my missus at the time decided to move to Nigeria. We had a little chair thing, we was making chairs. And she was like, let's go to Nigeria and do it. Like, basically the UK has given us nothing. Kind of how people feel now, actually. But we had the foresight of nearly a decade ago. So like, we're moving to Nigeria. And at the time, I just started to do a little bit of TV work for a company called Arise News. Nothing special, but I just did enough to put a little show reel together. So when I went to Nigeria, she concentrated on her chair stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm going to just put the show reel together and send it out to anyone in Africa. I did not know how far South Africa was from Nigeria. I'm not joking. I thought it was an hour away.
So you've done the flight, right? It's a long way.
It's like 6 or 7 hours.
Yeah.
So I applied, and then a company called Kwesi came back to me and said, oh, we would love you to come and do some boxing with us, blah, 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 blah. Whereabouts are you based? Are you... Because me applying for the role, almost, I think they felt like I was ready to go to South Africa. And I was like, oh no, I'm in Nigeria. So I thought that was it. They ain't going to use me. Then the guy, Louvren's Rensburg, came back to me and said, no, we'll fly you out from Nigeria to South Africa once a month to cover boxing. I was like, this has to be a joke. And they did. They used to fly me out. And Nigeria was so hard, like just as you say, you've been there, to get on that plane and go to South Africa was like, like it was like, thank God, get me out of here. And yeah, I was there once a month covering boxing in South Africa, Ghana. We did events in Nigeria, Zimbabwe, Namibia, and it was insane. Honestly, the best, probably, although I do stuff for DAZN and TalkSPORT, it probably is the best experience I've ever had because I was new to it. They were paying quite well. I was learning on the job, and it was just the best experience because it was hard. It was like DAZN's easy, like in a sense where, you know, you go to the nicest hotels, you're traveling business class. This was not that. This was quite a tough terrain. So that experience from Kwesi, I think, sort of put me in good stead now.
Yeah, and we've now, to be honest, in the UK, had a little bit of a taste of African boxing more and more over I'm thinking recently you've got Ebenezer Tete, Elvis Ahorga, these kind of, like, when you watch the videos on YouTube, if you have any time to watch their earlier fights, it's brilliant, right? Surely there's been moments where you were like, this can't be real, right? There's all the time. Yeah.
And you know, the sad thing about a lot of these African boxers, which is why I've always kind of pushed that there needs to be I've always said chaos in Lagos. There needs to be a big event in Africa because it will then spurn some of the youth. Like they've got all the talent, like natural ability. I mean, just in terms of sort of their energy alone, but they just don't have the facilities or the money. But I'd always see good boxers in South Africa, but then I'd watch them spar and they would almost kill themselves in sparring. So when they landed over here, although with an unbeaten record, they're done. And I knew they were done. I'd be like, he's coming, I've watched him spar, he's going to get killed and then they'll lose. So African boxing needs such a big injection just to kind of unearth the next best thing. But yeah, watching some of the girls and guys in Africa fighting for nothing, just because they loved it, was heartwarming. But I almost want to see one of them almost just go bang and just make some money and just really sort of live out their great life, because the effort they put in for very little reward almost hurt me watching. But they're amazing people, honestly, amazing people. They need something. And you can imagine like an AJ Wilder fight in Africa, it'd just be incredible. Like you would birth the next AJ or next Wilder. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100 times over, one in every country. It would be huge.
Indeed.
And like, you know, we've seen it, obviously Bacoli had his meteoric rise. It was like, could it happen? And then obviously that's kind of starting to fall away a bit. It's got to be frustrating. Is there ever any part of you that wants maybe one day, you know, your own promotional company and have that as your drive, or maybe your management, you know, manage some fighters over there?
A dream, because boxing is full of like dodgy managers, dodgy everything, isn't it? It's just the wild west. It really is. So I would love to think that I would go in there as the most like undodgy, like the cleanest manager possible.
But then would you make it? That's the question, isn't it?
This is it, right? This is it.
Too nice to make it.
Yeah, but I almost feel like there's so much talent out there that you would almost make it just by a number thing. Like the numbers just stack up. Like the amount of people that box in Ghana, and Like there's more boxers in Ghana than in the UK. There just has to be because there's so much talent there. So I'd almost feel like you'd make it by a numbers thing. But yeah, that would be a dream. I've never really thought about it, but to have my own promotional company sort of pushing through African fighters, just to have a chance. Do you know what I mean? Just to have a chance at something in life, just to make some good money, would be something special. Who knows? I'm still young-ish.
Yeah, I'd say do it.
Yeah, I might do it, You've given me kind of food for thought. Andrew, my man, is over there. He's probably writing this down as we speak. But yeah, there is something in it, I think.
Yeah, maybe not one for the business, I don't know if there's money. But
I don't think you'd make any money from it. I almost think it would just be something you do for your own sort of peace of mind to help them help themselves. I think that would work. Yeah,
I think there is, because I spoke to you briefly beforehand about a girl, Elizabeth Ashoba, just signed for Jake Paul. After the Commonwealth Games, a bloke from Bristol flew her over to Bristol, moved her there, paid for her flat, everything. And she's getting to where she is now because of that. It almost feels like it needs to be a miracle. Yeah. And that feels like a miracle.
And that's what it shouldn't be. Don't get me wrong. Look, 99% of boxers don't make the big 7-figure fights, right? They're not going to fight for world titles. They're not going to be headlined at Madison Square Garden, but give them an opportunity, just an opportunity. And I think we're like, again, when an African fighter does come through, Martin Bakole is a great example. There is talent there. There is talent there. And Billy Nelson saw that in Martin Bakole. And look what Martin's become. I know he's kind of letting himself down when he weighs 300 bloody pounds all the time, but it's there, right? I think we've seen it. So it'd be nice to see someone give these young African fighters a chance because they deserve it.
Yeah, and we got like slightly sidetracked there, but actually what I wanted to kind of jump back round to was how boxing came a part of your life or part of your interest, because I feel like everyone has a moment in their life, whether they're boxing fans or not, where they notice boxing. They see a fight, a press conference, and there's a kind of split moment where it either becomes, your heart and soul, everything, or you just go, nah, not for me. What was that moment? And then how has it become what it is now?
The initial kind of injection was Mike Tyson in the 80s. Like anything Mike Tyson in the 80s was just like, who is this guy?
I'm so envious of people who can say that. Yeah. Like, I'm too young. I can't say that.
It was just, he was as big as anything. Like as big as anything. So I think, but then to fully understand it, so that was just not understanding the rules, didn't know anything. Just watching this guy, ferocious, just come into the ring with black boots and black shorts and thinking, oh my God, who is this? And then you realize he's a kid basically beating up men. So I was fascinated by the idea of a 20-year-old or 19 at the time, just beating people up. I was like, it doesn't make any sense. But then I understood it more in the early 90s over here because it was on ITV. So it was terrestrial TV. So I grew up with Ben Eubank, Michael Watson, Prince Nassim Hamed. And then I was like, I get it now. I understand the rules. I understand who these guys are. And I think terrestrial TV was so important. It's so important for all sports. But I think having it with boxing, it was just forced upon you. 10 o'clock, Saturday night, da-da-dun, you knew the tune. It came on and you was like, all right, here we go. And these guys were fighting nobodies. Like, it's funny because I grew up thinking these guys were gods, and they still were to an extent. But Eubank, Ben and Prince Nassim Hamed fought dustbin men sometimes. But you tuned in for them. They were showmen. And I was fascinated by the fact that they were all so different, but they were all like larger than life. They were as big as footballers are now. But they kind of shared the same space. They were on the back pages, the front pages. And I think I was quite lucky to have that. And then from that, it just kind of spurned into something where I was just watching it religiously. But I take my big sort of push into the box, and I have to give this guy credit, was a guy called Ryan Rayson, who we used to work with each other for Islington Council. And I thought I was boxing crazy. I was more sport crazy. He was boxing crazy. So we'd go to his house 4 a.m. and just watch all those big Vegas fights. And that's when I really started to fully understand it. I give him credit because he definitely pushed me to boxing. And then I just took it to a whole nother crazy level. But Ryan Rayson was massive. And then we started the YouTube channel called Box Talk, which almost sort of garnered a hardcore following. And then I kind of went solo. But it was that 2 or 3 years with him recording every single day about anything and anyone, which definitely gave me the bug and the itch. And then it's just within the blood. It's just there.
Yeah. Do you carry that love for like the showman to now? Or do you think as you've kind of gotten older, there's like a different type of fighter you like? You know, what is it that everyone's got their little style they like? What is it for you?
A showman that delivers would always be number one for me. If you can do all the extras, like Prince Nassim Hamed's still my favorite sort of British fighter of all time. If you can do the extras and fight, then I'm sold. Because it's an entertainment sport after all, isn't it? It's something that's kind of disappearing from other sports. Like growing up, it was always the showman first as opposed to the numbers. Now, football, basketball, boxing, it's almost like, no, the numbers have to be it. But I want a showman. But now my favorite fighter, is you might know, is Dimitri Bivol. And he's not about showmanship. He's just about getting in there and doing the job. I don't mind that either.
But there is a show to Bivol in terms of he's so good at what he does, it's mesmerising. In the same way as Naz was so good at what he did, it was mesmerising. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but what Bivol doesn't give you is showmanship outside the ring.
Yeah.
So with Naz, you're going to get something crazy. He's doing something before the hand. You know, you're doing a sit-down interview with him, it's going to be gold. It's going to be like, you already know you've got headlines clipped and ready. Bivol doesn't do that, but I respect them now because I know Bivol will deliver in the ring. So he might not give me what I want in terms of the cut that the DAZN want, or that wonderful bit in the face-off where they fight each other. Like, I remember doing the face-off for Bivol with Turbiev, and I was like, it doesn't matter. Like, this doesn't matter because they're both going to kick the you-know-what out of each other in the ring, and it's going to be incredible. So, yeah, Bivol does give you a bit of showman, but certainly not outside the ring. But in the ring, he's just sensational.
Yeah, and talking about that, like the 80s, 90s, the time you brought up through, that is, you know, everyone talks about that with such kind of beauty. It's such a great era of boxing. And then talk about now, and there's always these heavyweights wouldn't stack up against the 90s. Boxing now isn't what it was in the 90s.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that to an extent? Or because you're so close to it, do you still think there's the same magic today, or some of?
I think there is. I'm not having that nonsense. And some older folk, like, Ade, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, I do, because I grew up with both. I think I genuinely think the best heavyweights that we've got now would go into the 80s and 90s and compete. Not saying they would win, but you chuck a 6'8" Tyson Fury back then, he's competing. I mean, you chuck a Usyk back then, he's competing. Bacoli, Dubois, these are all solid solid, strong heavyweights that would compete. I do think boxing's in a different space now, but I still think we've got incredible boxers that would compete in any era. That Dimitri Bivol would compete in any era. Terence Crawford, any. Canelo, Golovkin. Like, these guys, you could transport them back to the 1920s. They are knocking out people. They're frighteningly good. So, I don't know, man. I sometimes feel like we like to always talk about sort of yesteryear as though it's the greatest thing ever. We've got some great boxers now. Are they the old school 15-round boxers? Maybe not. But Jesse Bam Rodriguez, Loma, like, come on.
Inoue.
You know he's knocking out your favorite fighter from that era.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? We've got some incredible boxers. Maybe we don't have the depth of what they had back in the day, but we've got some boxers that would any era, any.
Yeah, I almost think that the gap's bigger now between the very best and the good in boxing today.
Yeah.
That it almost seems like we don't have the depth because there's this gap. Like, you look at Beterbiev Bivol, they're so far at the top.
Yeah,
it's like Opataya, so far at the top. Inoue, you're like, no, who can touch him near him? Bam. Do you think that, like, it's the fact that they don't have competitive fights for them because they are as good as naturally as good as the 90s were, and they've got this science, all of this stuff behind them.
That's the issue. I tweeted about this a couple of weeks ago. I said, I don't know what fight I was watching. I think I was watching Belotti, Ryan Garner. And Belotti's obviously been on this incredible run. And then Ryan Garner just destroyed him. And I was like, my God, there are so many levels in boxing. Like, even at world level, there's about 8 levels within world level. Do you know what I mean? Like, Zepeda, Shakur Stevenson. Zepeda's very, very good. And Shakur kind of just, I was like, my God, that's 2 world level fighters. And even at world level, there's like elite world level. And I think you make the great point. Like, Jesse Bam Rodriguez has no competition. And so maybe people look at him and think, but it's because there's no other Jesse around. So the levels, I think, are maybe too vast now. Whereas in the 80s and 90s, it was so much more competitive. Hence the 4 kings. It was so, everyone was beating everyone. We don't really have that now. There's almost a top dog and maybe one other, and then the gap is incredible. Like Boots Ennis at 147. It was like everyone knew Boots was number 1, and then there was the rest. Terence Crawford to an extent as well. So maybe we don't have the depth now. I think that's what maybe the old school, the old heads are saying. Whereas in the 80s and 90s, there was about 8 or 9 guys in every division. We haven't got that anymore.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of talk as well recently about like domestic boxing scene. And you talked about terrestrial boxing falling away in this country. In the US, they've just lost their last terrestrial deal with ESPN. That in on paper seems pretty dire. But do you think that's actually translating itself, or are we just in like a transition period? Like, what do you see of that whole?
I think we're in a transition period where now sort of just online is just taken over. Like, who goes home and watches TV anymore? It's not really a thing, is it? Everyone goes home and everyone switches on their mobile phone and jumps on apps. So it's not as bad as it is. But at the same time, I do think we should be concerned when ESPN say, nah, not interested in boxing. When Sky Sports say, don't really fancy anymore. When TNT, old BT Sports say, we should be concerned because they look at it from a numbers perspective and sort of money generation. And Sky were more invested and were willing to put more money behind darts than they were boxing. That should be concerning. Like, boxing's in such a small bubble that when we do see these big Wembley events, we think it's the greatest thing in the world, and that happens once every 3 or 4 months. So we should be concerned that HBO, Showtime, and ESPN in America have all said no to boxing, and Sky, TNT, and others have said no to it over here. That cannot be a good thing. But I also think it's not the end of the world because I do think more people are switching over to apps and online sort of media as opposed to terrestrial stuff. But I do think it's a concern when big media spaces say we're not interested in putting money into boxing. That has to be a concern.
Yeah, and I think like the likes of the Matchroom, Queensberry, obviously Boxer when they were with Sky, there was so much criticism to the domestic shows. And a lot of the time you look at it and you go, actually, no, do you know what? If you pay attention, there's some great fights there.
Yeah.
There's some great fighters there, but why do you think people aren't? Do you know what's the?
I think people are obsessed with names as opposed to the fights. Like Frank and Eddie could put a card out now. Before the fights even happened, everyone's like, it's crap. I'm like, they've not even fought yet.
Yeah. You don't
like,
know.
how do you know what's going to be a good fight and not? It's impossible to know. So I think we're obsessed with seeing big names, and because fight fans don't think we've got superstars over here anymore, they don't know what makes a good fight. What makes a good fight isn't Fury versus AJ. What could make a good fight is Wardley versus Dubois. Do you know what I mean? So it isn't the names. I think we're obsessed with names. Just be obsessed with fights. So I think the best way to judge a fight or a fighter is when they've had a fight, as opposed to when the card's been sort of put forward. So I don't know, man. I think we're in a weird transition where everyone has a say. And maybe that's what it is as well. Obviously, in the 90s, a card was put out. Frank and Eddie would never know it was crap because no one had Twitter and no one could say anything.
It was one journalist on a newspaper.
Exactly. And Colin
Donald
Hart on the back of the Sun. And that was it. So we didn't know if people... So those people were saying, oh, it was better back then. Well, we didn't know because no one had a say on it. No one could immediately say anything after the fight, whereas now everyone's got a say. But I think it's in a good space. I think Frank's put on great cards since he joined DAZN. Honestly, I think they've been incredible. And I'm even finding out people that I didn't know. That Frank's got like stars. Like, I didn't know too much about Ryan Garner. All of a sudden, going to Bournemouth on the weekend or week just gone, I'm like, this guy's got a following. He's unbeaten. He's a European champion. So there are stars there. We just need to get behind him a bit more.
Yeah, I think I'm always surprised how deep Queensberry stable is.
Incredible.
Like the list of fighters they've got. You'll go to a show in the York Hall, and there'll be 6-7 names you know, and then you'll go to Wembley Arena, Magnificent Seven, and you're like, right, like, where are they signing them from?
Frank's stable. It shocks me.
Joke, innit?
Yeah, he must have 100 fighters.
Easy.
He must have, yeah.
Easy.
Like, he's literally, if you were to look at the top 15 heavyweights, he probably has 10 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, his stable's insane. Hence why he puts on shows, it feels like every week. Every week I'm on a train or plane going somewhere, and it's because of Frank. So Eddie, come on, catch up.
Yeah,
but I think
they just
Eddie,
released loads though, haven't they?
Yeah.
Matchroom, they just
yeah, and I think Eddie's just, when you combine that, I think Eddie's probably got the biggest stable because he's got American fighters, Australian fighters, Spanish fighters, French fighters. But in terms of UK right now, I mean, Frank's stable's frightening.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned it sort of a little bit, the heavyweights and AJ Fury. Now I was like, I can't wait to ask Ade about this. You've released something on this the morning of this recording, but we'll pretend that didn't happen. You know, that fight, it's got to happen, right? It's got to.
Dude, I just, like, my frustration with everyone surrounding that fight is just, like, I actually don't understand it. So So they're both now on the same network. So that was an issue before.
Yeah.
So you think of all the issues before. So all the issues before were Frank and Eddie don't talk.
Sorted.
Yeah. So DAZN and TNT. So there's no issue there anymore. Okay, Usyk was a problem because Fury and Usyk, and I get that, right? You've got to go undisputed and you've got to go back to back. So they don't have a fight lined up, neither have a fight. Your promoters are now talking. Wembley Stadium's there, Turkey's there, and you're on the same network. And we still don't have it. Like, if they don't deliver this fight for British boxing, they've let British boxing down. Like, I can't even put it into words how much they've let the country down. That's how deep I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Because they've got to deliver it for us. Like, you're both worth hundreds of millions. This can't be a money thing. You've both become world champion. That might never happen again. So it's not even a title thing. We don't care about the belts. We just want to see you guys fight. British boxing needs it. Like, sometimes it needs an injection in the arm. Fury, AJ does that. It baffles me. I don't think either are scared. I've spoken to AJ so many times. He says he wants Tyson Fury. I've spoken to Fury. I'm telling you now, people think Fury's scared of AJ. He's not scared of AJ.
At that level, they're not scared of anyone.
No, fighters aren't scared like that.
No.
There's always a reason. And sometimes I think the reason comes down to pounds and pence. But again, we now have the Turkey influence to add to it. He'll bankroll this.
If he wants it happening, it'll happen.
Yeah. The only issue, I guess, is if I'm Turkey and I'm paying for it, I want it in Saudi.
Yeah.
That's it. And there'll be a pushback by people saying, no, it should happen in Wembley. Like, it's it makes sense, two English fighters. So that might be the only issue. And Turkey then probably say, well, okay, if you want it in Wembley, fine, pay for it yourself. So that might be an issue, but it's got to happen.
But there's got to be there'll be a guaranteed rematch on that, surely. You'd have thought. And then you could just do one in each. Problem solved. I think that fight is what Dubois Usyk and Dubois AJ was billed as in terms of how important it is to the country. You know, you hear Frank saying, this will stop traffic in regards to Dubois Usyk. It's like, dude, it will slow traffic. Yeah. It's not stopping it. People are just dropping everything for that.
The face-off would be, and obviously
you'd be there.
I'd be doing it.
That's mental.
Dude, even to think about that's mental for me. The face-off I think the biggest one I've done in terms of numbers is Ben Eubank, the first one. But this one would do 10 million views, 20 million on YouTube, whatever number you can think of, it would just do it. Because this is Frank and Eddie's boys, isn't it? This is it. This is what's grown both of their stables and basically grown their companies. Like Fury for Queensbury has been enormous. And AJ, that link between AJ, Matchroom and Eddie is taken the company to another level. Honestly, if AJ retires having not fought Fury and Wilder having been in the same era as both of them, he'll be disappointed. I know AJ would. I speak to AJ quite a bit sometimes. He'll be disappointed. He has to fight one of them. And obviously it isn't going to be Wilder, or at least I don't want it to be. Has to be Tyson Fury. Yeah.
Do you think we're getting a bit precious as boxing fans? Because we've had so many good ones recently, right? Like the amount of undisputed title fights we've had recently, like Better BF Bivol, both of them were phenomenal. We're getting Canelo Crawford, AJ Dubois, we got Usyk Fury.
We're greedy.
Yeah, but
you're right. We're greedy. Yeah.
I'd drop a good couple of those to watch AJ Fury. If I could wipe my memory of a few huge fights, I would do it.
100%. Like we got Bivol Beterbiev 1 and 2. You can get rid of 2 and give me AJ Fury. Do you know what I mean? I didn't need to see 2. 2 was amazing, but 1 was like, oh my God. Like we got Fury Usyk 1 and 2. You could remove 2 and give me just 8. Like, yes, we've had so many. And again, we can't be greedy. What that Turkey injection into boxing will be spoken about for years to come, whether good or bad. I know some people have their issues with it, some people don't. But what he's given us is insane. Like we're having Super Bowls and WrestleManias every 3 or 4 months. And that wasn't a thing before. Like, there's a reason why Carl Froch continues that 80,000 thing at Wembley. And he's funny with it because it didn't happen.
Yeah.
That didn't happen before. Do you know what I mean? Now, he's saying is becoming quite silly and irrelevant because it's now a norm. Like Usyk Dubois just did 90,000. Ben Eubank just did 65 at Tottenham. Like now filling stadiums has become the norm. So yeah, we are spoiled, but we still need to see it. We need to see it. Like as you say, you can remove 90% of what we've seen so far. Just give me Fury AJ. Even in their depleted versions, even though they no longer are what they used to be, I don't care. I still just need to see it. Like British boxing, they'll be everywhere. They'll be on the sides of buses. They'll be at chat shows. They'll be everywhere. We'll see. I harbour hope that it still happens, but it's diminishing by the second.
Would you, if you could do full Men in Black to everyone, wipe memory of Usyk Fury ever happening, would you do that just to see this fight? Having known how great those fights were, like what they meant, would you? Because I'd struggle not to say no. Like if someone gave me that opportunity.
I don't know. That Usyk Fury one, yeah,
Magical.
the one. Being there, I'm not joking. I was shaking. As soon as the referee brought them together, I was like, oh my God, this is actually going to happen. Because this is unbeaten versus unbeaten. All the build-up was fantastic. Like, I was literally like that. I was like, so, no, I wouldn't wipe my memory for that. Like, Fury Usyk was number 1 versus number 2. It had everything. Nah, and then I did the interview in the ring with Usyk, which is, I've got a photo at my house of it. And half the time, by the way, I don't even know what I'm saying in these interviews because I'm a fan that's like, I'm not professional in any way, shape or form. So to be in the ring with Usyk and all the emotion coming from him and it was chaotic. And I was like, I grew up watching this. I grew up watching Max Kellerman get in the ring and do his thing. So to be in there at that moment, so no, I can't wipe my memory from that. It's good. I'd wipe my memory for Fury Usyk too.
Okay.
And even that 9th round where Fury's getting wobbled, I was like, this is insane. So sorry, AJ. Nah, the Fury Usyk one was one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life. One of the greatest experiences ever. Like all week, the whole build up. Nah. Like even, don't you remember John Fury headbutting one of Usyk's? The whole build up was sensational. So I think I'd wipe my memory of everything else apart from that.
It's funny you say that because I almost forgotten how little I felt like that fight was actually going to happen until they were punching each other in the head.
This is it. You know that we have that as fans, right? Until we see them in the ring. It's almost like when a footballer holds up a shirt, like until they hold up the shirt, until I genuinely believed at any stage this fight could be cancelled. Yeah. Like Fury has this thing about him where he's like, oh, F it then, I'm walking away. And I was like, until they get in. So when the referee said, touch gloves, I was like, oh my God, these guys are about to kick the you-know-what out of each other. So yeah, now that's still the best experience I've ever had, ever being ringside for a fight. And I've been to quite a few. That's probably number 1 by some distance.
Wow. Now that's nearing what I wanted to finish it on. But what I thought we could finish this on today is a few sort of quick fire questions. This is where you don't get to put on the PR mind and think. Just
straight, boom.
Just whatever comes. I don't want any of this. Oh, well, you see.
No. Okay.
No fillers. Just first thing that pops into your head, just to wrap it up. I want the answer to British title fight or a world title fight?
British title fight.
Wembley Stadium or Madison Square Garden?
Madison Square Garden.
Pound for pound number 1 today?
Usyk.
Canelo or Crawford. Who wins? Tyson Fury or AJ, who wins? I'll let you off with a laugh as a time waster. I'll let you off with that one.
Oh God! Right now, there's a fight right now.
Yeah,
Fury.
I could tell it was going to pain you to say that one. Best boxer in the UK.
Ooh,
that's a hard one, isn't it? We did a pound for pound top 10 in the UK recently, and it was quite hard to fill out.
We've only got one world champion, Nick Bull. Moses Italma.
Ooh, I like it.
What a rogue shout. He might not even be people's top 10, but you know when you just see someone and you're like, this guy's got everything.
Yeah.
Like you can just see it. And although he's not beating the guys, I watch him and think, he will kill everyone soon. So I'm going to go Moses Italma.
Best division in boxing?
154 pounds. Dude, it has everyone. Like, you think of, I know I'm not supposed to keep going here, but you think of the ones that are not champions. Virgil Tees is not a champion. Xander Zayas is he's just entered into it. Like, Boychuk is not a world champion. Madrimov, like, they're killers, let alone the world champions. And then you got Bakram, Findora, who's probably the most underrated world champion. 6'6", 154 pounder.
Yeah, mental.
It's crazy. And then all of a sudden, Boots Ennis has entered into the division. There's about 10 guys that I think could beat each other in the division. So I think 154 pounds is perfect. All of them are at a good age as well. I think it's an incredible division.
Probably underrated as well, I'd say, right?
Probably underrated because there aren't that many stars in it. But now Virgil and Boots are there, and Xander, who's Puerto Rican, and I think America's desperate for a Puerto Rican kid to sell out MSG. I think it's underrated. Heavyweight's always fantastic, but I think the 154 pounder division is really, really good.
Fair enough. Early knockout or 12-round war?
12-round brutal battle.
Other than AJ Fury, one fight you have to see.
Oh, this is Bivol Benavidez. I was with Benavidez the other day, and he openly spoke about hurting Bivol in sparring. Like, he said his legs wobbled a bit, and he's like, Dad, am I lying? Dad. And his dad was like, no, it happened. And so there's something about Benavidez. Benavidez is almost like a bomb being injected into the 175 division. And if Benavidez can clean the pipes of Anthony Yarde, then, I mean, I know we said earlier that Bivol and Beterbiev are far by themselves. If he smashes through Yarde, like smashes him, then it's free for me. It's not two, it's free. So him versus Bivol, well, I think would be sensational. Because Bivol's not the biggest 175er either. So it's not like he's fighting Beterbiev, who's a monster. Benavidez walks around bigger than Bivol. So size isn't an issue, it's skill. And I think, I've got the Bivol shirt behind me in my house, but that's not easy work for Bivol.
Wow, it's a good one to end on. It's not what I thought you'd say, which I like. I didn't know what I thought you'd say, but it wasn't going to be that. I think that pretty much wraps it up. I'd love to spend all day talking to you, but we've got, we'll have to do another one at some point, I suppose.
100%.
But your podcast, you got live coming up. We mentioned it obviously earlier, but where can people get tickets for that? What sort of thing are you going to be talking about?
Yeah, look, so tickets are still available. You just go to where? There you go. To the King's Place website. There you go. kingsplace.co.uk.
I've been on it. It's very clear.
Is it very clear? Kingsplace.co.uk.
I think so, yeah.
Fantastic. I think there are still a few tickets left. I think, I want people just to come there and just be energized. Like, one thing about me, it's just energy, energy, energy. We've got a host of special guests, which I need to announce, but I don't even want it to be about the guest. I want it to be about just my journey on the green chair. Very much how we started the podcast, where you ask the questions. So it'll be about me telling people about the journey, and then a roving mic and us just having fun for 90 minutes. So it doesn't just have to be about boxing. We can veer anywhere. And sometimes when I'm at home on my own doing the podcast, dude, I start talking about the top 10 movies and films and bloody all that stuff. So it will go anywhere, but it'll predominantly be boxing, but then it can go anywhere, and I'm happy for it to go anywhere. I just want to meet people that have supported the channel since it started and supported my journey. And it'd be nice to put a face to some of the names I see on YouTube. Like, I know them, like, religiously. Oh my God, you're still around. So to see them face to face will be something. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fun.
Lovely. Well, I look forward to it myself. I'm hopefully going to be there for some tickets.
Lovely.
Hopefully, I'm hoping to be there. Other than that, thank you, obviously, for joining us. Thank you, everyone who's watching or listening at home, for tuning in. I'm not sure when this is coming out, so you've either already watched our podcast this week or it's coming up late in the week, so stick around for that. Thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the future.
Punches chance. Punches Chance Podcast.